Hi, this is Prue, and I wanted to pop on here and do a quick video about the full moon that's happening tomorrow. That's Sunday the 28th, and it's happening at 6:48. So it's 6:45 in the evening, we get a full moon. So what does that mean? Well, just let's take a step back and know that every month we have a full moon. It's the peak, the climax of the moon cycle. So it started with the new moon, that was 2 weeks ago, and the energy of the moon has been waxing. That means it's getting bigger. And growing and growing and growing till it gets to this point where we have the full moon, great illumination, and emotions always get heightened. Things always feel more intense around a full moon. There's no getting away from it. When I was writing my book, I did a chapter on the different moons, and it was really interesting just understanding how our behaviours are very much impacted by what's going on in the sky. You know, if we think about what the moon does to the tidal flows, and we are 70% water, we are very much influenced by what's going on, by the consistency of the lunar cycle. So the more that we can pay attention, the more that we can live our life in flow with that, the easier things are. So what happens at a full moon is we have a lot more positive ions in the atmosphere. Now, I always think positive ions sound really exciting. We have positive ions and negative ions. Negative ions are the ions that we get a lot at the seaside. They have a natural feel-good factor, and positive ions tend to have the opposite effect. If anything, if we've got congestion, any build-up of toxicity, what will happen is that these positive ions will create tension and tightness, especially in the blood flow. So what you might notice is that you feel a little bit more perhaps intolerant than usual, or you might see that in those around you. Now, I think there was a report that there were more road rage incidents during a full moon. I remember reading it years ago, and I've never been able to find it since, and I could see that makes sense. I think that what happens is that we tend to erupt more around a full moon, because what happens is that it's almost like the scaffolding that keeps our emotions down, or the mask on, in some ways is taken away when we have a full moon. So we're not behaving in a way that's alien. In many ways, what's coming out is what's always been there. So if you can just pay attention to what feelings are emerging, or anything that you're experiencing for yourself or others around you, the more you can make sense, the more you can really use the energy of this full moon. Because the full moon is an incredibly cleansing time. It's brilliant for releasing and letting go of. So notice anything that you've been feeling that's bringing up slightly uncomfortable feelings. This is a really good opportunity to have a look at that, because we can release and let go of things. Now, how do we do that? I think it's really important to know that we all do it differently. You know, that I really don't believe in this one size fits all for anything in life. But one guide that can really help us is look at where the moon is in your chart. So what sign is the moon, and what's going on with your moon? Because that's going to give you a really good indication of how you can release and let go. So let me give you an example for myself. My moon is in Gemini. Gemini is an air sign. It's a mutable sign, and it's very much connected to communication. And I know for myself, if I'm experiencing anything that's uncomfortable, talking it out is so important. That is my way of letting go. To actually almost verbalize my feelings tends to dissipate the power they have around it. Now, for others, if you have a Cancer moon, which is a water sign, it could be connecting to water in some way. It could be going for a free swim. It could be, I don't know, even having a bath or a shower with intention. Somehow we need to look at what is the best way that we can nurture ourselves. And I know if we look at your natal chart, the moon will always be that guide to how we can release and look after our inner needs. Because we know in astrology, the moon very much represents our internal terrain. How do we mother? How do we look after ourselves? And this is an amazing opportunity, because I always say nothing stays hidden under a full moon. All our blind spots are often revealed. So if there is anything that you're not clear about, any questions that you have, this is a really good time to almost put them out to the universe. Ask for some more clarity, and just notice what signs come back. Notice what daydreams come up, what conversations you have. I mean, it could very well be connected to my Gemini moon, but I notice that when I have a question or I'm seeking clarity in some way, often someone will say something and it will make complete sense, or I'll hear something on the radio, or I'll hear the exact sentence that I need to hear. Sorry, it sounds a bit clumsy, doesn't it? So I guess I'm a long way of saying let's trust our moon, because that will let us know how we can make the most of these full moons, because the full moon is a really exciting time of the month. It's basically, if we go back to our ancestors who would have lived completely in harmony with the moon cycle, because before electricity, this is what lit up their evening. So a full moon is when, yes, emotions are heightened, but it's also people would have come together under the full moon for festivities and frolics and goodness knows what else was happening as the weather got warmer. So the more that you can embrace it, notice how you're feeling, understand that, you know, our lives, our feelings, our reactions are never going to be linear. We're never meant to go from A to B. We're cyclical. And this is one way that we can get in touch with our cyclical nature, and it can really help us trust our intuition and know that we are connected to something so much bigger. I'm wishing you a wonderful full moon. I hope you have a wonderful time of exploration, of noticing, especially in the areas of relationships. You know, this full moon is in Libra. I don't think I've actually mentioned that. This full moon is in Libra. Libra is an air sign. So when the full moon is in that sign, it's radiating these themes more than any other time. So look at what's going on in your relationships. Also, Libra is the only sign that is represented by an inanimate object, which is the scales. And I think it's absolutely impossible to live a human life and have our scales perfectly balanced, intact. It's just not going to happen. But it's an indicator of balance, so it can help us see what is out of balance in that area of our life. So look at where 8 degrees of Libra is, and it's going to show us where, what is it that we might not be aware of, or how is our life out of balance, or are we putting other people's needs before our own, or do we need to bring in more connection? You know, it's about looking at the energy of out there and seeing how it applies to your life. So I think that's what I want to say. Yeah, if you have any questions, just send me a message, prue@pruenichols.com, and I'd love to hear from you.